Purify My Life, the complete science of spiritual transformation.
Devotees of the Lord are often recognized by different signs. Along with the obvious robes, the distinguishing marks of a devotee will be Tulasi wood neckbeads, the small tuft of hair called a sikha, and the clay markings called tilaka that designate the body as a temple of the Lord. A sikha is the tuft of hair left on the back of the shaved head of a male devotee of Kṛṣṇa. There are two types of transcendentalists, the personalist and the impersonalist. Traditionally, the devotee of the Lord, the Vaishnava or personalist, had a shaved head and sikha. The impersonalist transcendentalist, who does not recognize that the Supreme Lord is a person, generally keeps a shaved head with no sikha. So a sikha shows devotion to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada wanted that his male disciples kept a shaved head and sikha, or if it was required for hair to be kept, like for business, that it was short and gentlemanly, and that a sikha was maintained. Srila Prabhupada encouraged a small, simple, relatively short sikha that should be knotted once, not left loose, not braided, and not involving a huge clump of hair. He said that a Vaishnava sikha should not be more than 1.5 inches in diameter. Devotees of the Lord wear neck beads made from the wood of the sacred Tulasi plant. To have Tulasi wood on the body is very auspicious. Srila Prabhupada likened the neck beads to a transcendental dog collar, that we are the dogs of the spiritual master. A person not yet spiritually initiated should wear 1 strand of Tulasi, and an initiated person at least 2 strands, but best 3, or possibly even 4 or 5 can be worn. Srila Prabhupada set the standard at a longer strand of Tulasi neck beads that wrapped around the neck 3 times. These will usually be available strung about 51 inches long. Neck beads should be fairly tight, but not strangulating. In the early days of the movement, the neck beads were on a nylon filament and were knotted around the neck, and the knot burned closed with a lit incense stick. It's convenient now that the neck beads are available with a clasp if there has to be easy removal, like for massage or other treatment. There's a statement in the Skanda Purana, which Srila Prabhupada gives us in chapter 9 of the Nectar of Devotion, which says, persons who are decorated with tilak or gopi chandan, a kind of clay resembling fuller's earth that is produced in certain quarters of Vrindavan, and who mark their bodies all over with the holy names of the Lord, on whose necks and breasts there are Tulsi beads, are never approached by the Yamadutas. The Yamadutas are the constables of King Yama, the Lord of Death, who punishes all sinful men. Vaishnavas are never called for by such constables of Yamaraj. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the narration of Ajamil's deliverance, it is said that Yamaraj gave clear instructions to his assistants not to approach the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are beyond the jurisdiction of Yamaraj's activities. In the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 6, it is stated, one should decorate the body with tilak, which is the sign of the Vaishnavas. The idea is that as soon as a person sees these marks on the body of a Vaishnava, he will immediately remember Kṛṣṇa. Lord Chaitanya says that a Vaishnava is he whom, when seen, reminds one of Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, it is essential that a Vaishnava mark his body with tilak to remind others of Kṛṣṇa. To apply tilak, put some water in your left hand and rub the hard tilak into the water, making a fairly wet paste out of the clay. You can also keep a little container with the tilak and some water already in it. Begin by putting the ring finger of your right hand into the clay and starting between the eyebrows, bring the finger straight up to the hairline, making 2 straight lines. There's going to have to be a little pressure so that the space between the lines is clean. It should look like a long, narrow U shape with a clean space in the middle. It should not extend over the head, so it stops at the hairline. And when Srila Prabhupada saw some devotees pull the tilak line up over the head, he remarked that tilak was not a racing stripe. So just stopping at the hairline, and then use some more tilak to make the Tulasi leaf shape on your nose. And that should extend about 3/4 of the way down your nose, according to Srila Prabhupada's direction. And there's no space between the Tulasi leaf shape on the nose and the lines above. As you apply the tilak to your body, you chant the following mantras. So there's different places that the tilak is applied. And on the forehead, as we've just discussed, the mantra is Om Keshavaya Namaha. The middle of the belly, just above the waist, Om Narayanaya Namaha. The center of the chest, Om Madhavaya Namaha. Then the throat area, the front of the lower neck, Om Govindaya Namaha. The right side of the belly, just above the waistline, Om Vishnave Namaha. Then the right arm, that's the outside of the arm, just above the elbow, Om Madhusudanaya Namaha. The right shoulder, that's the upper arm on the outside at shoulder level, Om Trivikramaya Namaha. Left side of the belly, just above the waist, Om Vamanaya Namaha. Left arm, so that's the outside of the upper arm, just above the elbow, Om Sridharaya Namaha. Left shoulder, so that's the upper left arm at shoulder level, Om Hrishikeshaya Namaha. Upper back, Om Padmanabhaya Namaha. And lower back, Om Damodaraya Namaha. Lord Shiva says to Parvati that in the middle of the tilak marking there is a space, and in that space reside Lakshmi and Narayan. It became popular for the early devotees to try to apply tilak without a mirror when it became known that Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur did not use one. Actually, those who knew him said that he never looked in a mirror. It's actually fine to use a mirror, and there is a lovely photograph of Srila Prabhupada applying tilak using a mirror. It was a big ego thing that one could make a perfect tilak marking without a mirror, and that's not the goal of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Our activities must become devoid of false ego and aligned with the will of the Lord in all respects. The more we can do that, the more spiritual potency we'll have for our own benefit and for the preaching mission. In the Padma Purana, there is a statement given to us by Srila Prabhupada in the 9th chapter of Nectar of Devotion, describing how a Vaishnav should decorate his body with tilak and beads. Persons who put Tulsi beads on the neck, who mark 12 places of their bodies as Vishnu temples, with Vishnu's symbolic representations, the 4 items held in the 4 hands of Lord Vishnu, conch, mace, disc, and lotus, and who have Vishnu tilak on their foreheads are to be understood as the devotees of Lord Vishnu in this world. Their presence makes the world purified, and anywhere they remain, they make that place as good as Vaikuntha.